67. Trapped in a room. You are trapped in a very small room. In the middle of each side of the room there is a hole with a button inside. The button can either be on or off, but you cannot see in the holes and cannot feel whether the button is on or off. You can stick your hands in any two of these four holes at a time and either push both buttons, push one button, or do nothing. The goal is to set all four buttons to the same state, whether they are all on or all off. If you are successful, the room will open up and you can escape. You will not know if you have succeeded until you remove both of your hands from the holes. However, if you remove both of your hands from the holes and you have not succeeded in setting all of the buttons to the same state, the room will spin around very quickly and disorient you so that you cannot tell which wall is which. How do you put all of the buttons into the same position and escape from the room? 69. Figuring out numbers. Alan and Bob, two perfectly intelligent mathematicians, are trying to figure out two different numbers. They know that both numbers are integers between 1 and 100. They also know that neither of the numbers are 1 or 100. Alan knows only the product of the numbers and Bob knows only the sum of the numbers. Alan says to Bob, "I cannot tell what the two numbers are." Bob replies, "I already knew you couldn't." Alan then says, "Ah, now I know the numbers." Bob replies enthusiastically, "Now I know them too." What must the two numbers be? 70. The Switchers. There are 5 men in front of you. One of them is a truth teller, a man who always tells the truth, and 4 of them are what are called switchers that behave in the following way. The first time you ask them a question they will answer with either the truth or a lie, randomly. The second time you ask them a question, they will answer in the opposite way of how they answered for the first question. So if they answer the first question truthfully, they will answer the second question with a lie, the third question truthfully, the fourth question with a lie, and so on and so forth. By asking only 2 questions, each question can only be directed to one person at a time. How can you determine which of the 5 men in front of you is the truth teller? 71. Making ice. On a table in front of you is a small freezer that is capable of holding 7 standard ice cube trays stacked on top of each other. There are no shelves to separate the trays, and if you stack one tray on top of another before the ice cubes in the bottom tray are fully frozen, the top tray will sink into the bottom tray and you will not be able to make full-sized ice cubes. You have an unlimited supply of trays, each of which can make a dozen ice cubes. If it takes 15 minutes for the water to freeze completely into an ice cube, what is the maximum amount of full-sized ice cubes you can produce in 60 minutes? 72. The Blue Forehead Room. There are 100 perfectly intelligent logicians enclosed in a room and standing in a circle. They have all gotten their foreheads painted some color and are unable to see the color of their own forehead but can see the forehead of every other person in the room. They are told that at least one of them has their forehead painted blue and that if you are able to deduce that you have a blue forehead you are to leave the room after the lights have been turned off. The person in charge of painting the foreheads has decided to paint everyone's forehead blue. If the lights get turned on and off a total of 100 times, what will happen each time? 73. The Game Show. You are a contestant on a game show. There are 3 closed doors in front of you. The game show host tells you that behind one of these doors is $1 million in cash and that behind the other 2 doors there are goats. You do not know which doors contain which prizes, but the game show host does. The game you are going to play is very simple. You pick one of the 3 doors and win the prize behind it. After you have made your selection, the game show host opens one of the 2 doors that you did not choose and reveals a goat. At this point you are given the option to either stick with your original door or switch your choice to the only remaining closed door. What would you do and why? 74. 100 prisoners and amp. 2 light bulbs. 100 prisoners are imprisoned in solitary cells. Each cell is soundproofed and totally windowless. There is a central living room with 2 light bulbs that are initially off. No prisoner can see the light bulbs from their own cell. The warden decides he is going to play a game with all of the prisoners. If they win, they will all be let free, but if they lose the game, they will all be immediately executed. The game works as follows: each day the warden will pick a prisoner's name at random out of a hat, put the prisoner's name back in the hat, and then take that prisoner to the central room. After spending 15 minutes in the room, the prisoner will be escorted back to their cell. While they are in the room, the prisoner is allowed to toggle either of the light bulbs on or off as they choose. The prisoner also has the option to tell the warden, "All 100 of us have been taken to this room since this game has started." If the prisoner is correct, the game is over and the prisoners win. If the prisoner is wrong and this statement is incorrect, the game ends and all of the prisoners are executed. Thus, this statement should only be made if the prisoner is absolutely certain that they are correct. Before the game begins, all 100 of the prisoners are allowed to get together in the courtyard and discuss a plan. What is the best plan that the prisoners can come up with so that eventually someone will be able to make a correct assertion and win the game, granting them all freedom? 75. A dozen hatted prisoners. 12 straight-jacketed prisoners are on death row. Tomorrow they will be arranged in a single file line, positions determined randomly, all facing the same direction. The person in the back of the line, who will be referred to as the 12th person, can see the 11 people standing in front of him. The 11th person can see the 10 people standing in front of him, but not the 12th person who is standing behind him. So on and so forth until you get to the first person in line who cannot see anyone. The warden of this prison likes to play games with his prisoners and has lined everyone up in this fashion so that he can give them an opportunity to gain their freedom. The warden will place, at random, a black or white hat on each prisoner's head. The prisoners cannot see the color of the hat they are wearing, but they can see the color of the hats of each prisoner standing in front of them in line. After all of the hats have been placed on the prisoners' heads, the warden asks the person in the back of the line, the 12th person, "What is the color of the hat on your head?" The prisoner can reply by saying either black or white, but nothing else. When the prisoner answers the warden, all of the prisoners in line can hear the reply, but they do not know whether the prisoner was right or wrong. If the prisoner replies with the correct color of their hat, they will be freed from the prison. If they are wrong, they will be executed that night. This game continues until all 12 of the prisoners in line have been asked about the color of their hat. While the game is in progress, no prisoner is allowed to speak, move, or do anything until it is their turn to answer the question. The warden allows the prisoners to get together in the courtyard the day before this game begins to come up with a plan to maximize the number of lives they can save. What is the prisoner's plan? 76. Einstein's riddle. Somewhere in the world there is a small neighborhood full of very eccentric and intelligent people. There are 5 houses that are each a different color. There is a person of a different nationality that lives in each house. Each of these 5 people drinks their own special drink, smokes their own special brand of cigarettes, and has their own special pet. No one has the same pet, smokes the same brand of cigarettes, or drinks the same drink. One of these 5 people owns a pet fish. With just the following information, figure out who owns the fish. The British man lives in the red house. The Swedish man has a dog for a pet. The Danish man drinks tea. The green house is to the left of the White House. The owner of the greenhouse drinks coffee. The person that smokes Pall Mall cigarettes has a bird. The owner of the yellow house smokes Dunhill cigarettes. The person that lives in the middle house drinks milk. The Norwegian lives in the first house. The person that smokes blend cigarettes lives next to the one that has a cat. The person that has a horse lives next to the one that smokes Dunhill cigarettes. The one that smokes Blue Master cigarettes drinks beer. The German smokes Prince cigarettes. The Norwegian lives next to a blue house. The person that smokes blend cigarettes has a neighbor that drinks water. 77. The impossible rainbow. 7 prisoners are on death row. Tomorrow all 7 of them will be randomly arranged in a circle and they will each have a hat put on their head by the warden. Each head may be any one of the 7 colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, or violet, and the hats will be distributed randomly. There is a large enough supply of hats so that it is possible for each of the 7 prisoners to be wearing the same color hat. It is also possible for each prisoner to be wearing a different color hat. Each prisoner can see the hats of the 6 other prisoners in the circle, but they cannot see their own hat. The warden tells them all that he will play a game and offer them their collective freedom as a prize. Each prisoner is given a slip of paper and writes down his guess of his own hat color. After all of the prisoners have finished, the warden will look at each slip of paper, and if at least one prisoner has guessed the correct color of his hat, they will all be set free. If none of the prisoners have written down the color of their own hat, they will all be executed immediately. The warden allows the prisoners to get together in the courtyard the day before this game begins to come up with a plan. What strategy do the prisoners come up with to guarantee that they will be set free? 78. 100 prisoners and damp. 100 boxes. 100 extremely intelligent prisoners are imprisoned in solitary cells and on death row. Each cell is soundproofed and completely windowless. There is a room with 100 small boxes numbered and labeled from 1 to 100. Inside each of these boxes is a slip of paper with one of the prisoners' names on it. Each prisoner's name only appears once and is in only one of the 100 boxes. The warden decides he is going to play a game with all of the prisoners. If they win, they will all be let free, but if they lose the game, they will all be immediately executed. The 100 prisoners are allowed to enter this room in any predetermined order they wish, but each can only enter the room once, and the game ends as soon as the 100th person enters the room. Once they enter the room, the prisoners are each allowed to open and look inside any 50 boxes. After they have opened the 50 boxes and looked inside, they must shut them and leave everything exactly the way it was before they entered. The prisoners are not allowed to communicate with each other in any way. If every prisoner is able to enter the room and open the box that contains his own name, they will all be released from prison immediately. However, if even just one prisoner enters the room, opens 50 boxes, and does not open the box containing his own name, they will all be executed immediately. Luckily for the prisoners, the warden has decided to allow the first prisoner in the room to open all 100 boxes and switch any 2 names if they would like to. Again, in order to win this game, all 100 prisoners need to enter the room and open the box with their name in it. The warden allows the prisoners to get together in the courtyard the week before this game begins to come up with a plan. What strategy do the prisoners come up with to guarantee that they win this game?